You're listening to KKSM AM 1320 Oceanside, PalomarCollegeRadio.com.
And we're back on the Vibe Smooth R&B and Jazz with me, Chorus Nylander, on KKSM. I'm so honored right now to be joined by the one and only Phil Perry over the phone. Hi, Phil. How are you doing this morning?
I'm fine, Chorus. How you doing today, man? Everything good?
Oh, it's all going well. Beautiful day here in San Diego. It's so nice for you to call in. You're really such an amazing artist.
San Diego is one of those cities that's blessed with a lot of beautiful days.
Oh, definitely.
A long time ago, I lived in Cardiff by the sea, and I loved it.
Oh, Cardiff, that's a great area over there.
Beautiful.
And what part?
Beautiful.
What part of the country are you calling us from today?
I'm along the eastern seaboard. I'm in Maryland. I'm about 20 minutes away from the Chesapeake Bay.
Oh, wow. And what's the weather like today?
Oh, it's probably in the low to mid 70s. Early AM attitude on this side of the country, it's still pretty cold in the upper 40s, low 50s. But once the sun burns through the clouds, it warms up pretty nice. It's a beautiful day today. Every day you get is a beautiful day if you make it one.
Oh, definitely. That is certainly true. Well, let's get right to it. You recently released your latest album, Say Yes. What was the inspiration behind that album? It's a great record, by the way. I've listened to it.
Thank you. We wanted to pick songs that depicted different stages of relationships and different settings inside those relationships that dealt with negative and positive in a positive way and made you think about it after you heard it.
What did that to me was just such inspirational and beautiful music, which all your music is every time I hear it.
Well, for me, there's really only one criteria for doing music, and that is the particular composition has to move me as an individual first. Not move me as an artist, but move me as an individual, as a human being. If it does that, I feel confident enough to put enough of myself in it so that whatever the music as a composition didn't portray, I can.
And how often do you write music?
I've been writing off and on since I was in junior high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I'm a little better and a little quicker at it now, but I still approach it with the same respect I did when I was a kid. So you have to remember, I grew up in the late 50s and the 60s. So I was listening to some of the best composers in popular R&B or jazz music. I mean, I remember hearing Horace Silver on the radio back home. I remember hearing Jimmy Webb songs on either the Fifth Dimension or on Laura Nyro or, on other artists of the era, as well as hearing somebody sing a the Temptations sing a Smokey Robinson song or Mary Wells sing a Smokey Robinson song. I mean, in terms of compositional stimulation, it was probably one of the best times anybody could ever grow up, because that back then, music was so powerful till if you heard it on your radio in your car, you had to pull over. It was that kind of impact in your daily life, and I miss not hearing music like that. That's the kind of music I want to try to write.
And you do such a great job of it. Your music is always very emotional and captivating when I hear it. It really is wonderful music.
My wife used to tease me when we first got married and ask me, who is that person that you claim to be when you write a song? I said, it's me. She said, no, it's not. It's somebody else. I live with you, and I don't see that person. But when you sit down to a piano or you sit down in front of a pad, she used to tease me, when I see you sharpening pencils, I know it's going to be a long day.
And what was it when you were first starting, I assume as a young kid, what made you want to sing?
My mother used to clean our house on Saturdays. And she would put on her records, and her records were all the crooners. I mean, the serious crooners of the late 40s and early 50s. She would listen to Billy Eckstine and Arthur Prysock and Johnny Hartman. And then she would follow that up with Nat, Joe Williams, Johnny Mathis. Well, she would be in the house, cleaning up the house. But when one of her songs came on, she would dance with a broom. And I thought to myself, if I work hard enough, will I be able to make somebody do that too?
And you definitely do. Your music is, I know it means so much to so many people.
If it doesn't take you out of the place that you're in and put you in the place or in the area of description in the song, you didn't make the connection as a composer. I always wanted to make the connection as a composer first. I always wanted to write the kind of song that anybody, anywhere, could hear and hear about themselves. It's very challenging, and I'm rarely to the task. But for the last 44 years, I've been trying to reach that goal.
And when did you start professionally in music?
Oh, golly. I started in a singing group called the Montclairs in the late 60s. And our first record came out as the Montclairs in 1969, 44 years.
Wow. What was that experience like being with the Montclairs?
Well, it was a different music era to begin with. So what you consider popular today, if had it been recorded the way things were being recorded then, it may not have sounded the way it sounds today. See, everybody was working in an analog world because that's the only world that existed. You'll have to forgive me for the noise.
Oh.
I'm about maybe 20, 25 minutes away from BWI.
Oh, it's no problem.
So there's nowhere I can go to escape the air noise. But I have to tell you that for me, it doesn't bother me because I've been going on the road so long till I'm kind of used to it.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But that's how I started. I started with the singing group. We used to do talent shows and sing Smokey Robinson songs and Temptation songs, Intruder songs, and Spinners songs. So we did this talent show and we won, and the first prize was getting the opportunity to go to the studio.
Oh.
So I wrote a tune and I showed it to the guys. And then I took it to the guy that used to give me piano lessons and had him write me a chord cheat chart and passed it out to the other musicians when we went to the studio and recorded it.
And how long
that was on an Ampex 8-track 2-inch tape. The recording equipment that I used to record my first record is now in the Smithsonian.
It's really crazy, the technology that has developed in music in the last century.
And in some ways, it's immeasurably wonderful. And in other ways, it's bred a generation of lazy composers.
Oh.
Yeah, because if you can tell the computer to transpose it from one key to the next, you don't have to worry about learning how to play it from one key to the next.
That's true.
So even though your production ear might get sharpened, your actual ability to hear it on your own without the computer doing it for you becomes diminished. It was only supposed to assist us. It was never supposed to do all the work.
So do you, today, do you still record music in an older fashioned way, or do you still, do you utilize
no.
modern technology?
If you're going to be successful in any industry, as the technology of the industry changes, so must you.
Definitely.
Now, if you're asking me if it's my favorite way to record, I'd have to tell you no. But if you're asking me, is it the most cost-efficient way to record a 10-plus CD from A to Z and never forget any of the moves that you ever made along the way? The answer is there's never been anything in history like it. And we're just at the dawn of the digital age.
Do you feel it will be good for professional music or a bad thing in the end?
Well, like I said, for the ones that have it in their spirit, that aren't looking to cut corners, that love it enough to suffer for it, it'll be wonderful. Because then the computer can do what it was really designed to do, which was assist. Not compose, assist.
It'll be interesting to see where the technology goes in the next few years.
Well, I know that when the Composer program came out, you were supposed to be able to play a piece of music through Composer, and it would write it out for you.
Oh, well.
Okay? But it doesn't really write it out because Composer only writes to the closest 16th note. It does not write 32nd notes. So if you had an ascending line on specifically for violins, and it was in 32nd notes, you would have to fill in every other 16th note because it would only write the 16th notes.
Oh.
Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm sure that the technology has come a long way since I first got turned on to Composer. But just from then till now has probably been 12, 15 years. There's a lot of technological advances that you can make in 12 or 15 years.
Absolutely.
So I don't have to continue to work on it to know that it does much, much more than it did when I did inquire about its capability.
And when the Montclairs disbanded, did you stay close with any of the members?
Yes, I did. Kevin Salmon and I recorded a couple of albums on Capitol. The first one was For Those Who Love, and the second one was We're the Winner. And if your listeners go to my website or to Facebook or to Twitter, we can give you links to get to the music of yesterday that you probably didn't know that I did.
Definitely should check that out. Your music really is wonderful music.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And
you know what? I always wanted to be the kind of guy that said the things that other guys couldn't say in a way that even if a girl was mad at him, she'd listen to him. And once she started listening, then he was on his own. But to get to the point of listening, I always wanted to develop that skill. To say things poignantly enough to be felt, but regularly enough to be listened to.
And in the 1990s, you found huge success with the song "Call Me," which was a #1 R&B hit. What was that moment like for you?
It was a great moment, but you have to understand that the origin of me doing "Call Me" was Aretha recording a song, actually her first single on Arista, a song called "United Together" that I was a co-writer of. And just that one song allowed me to go and make a publishing deal and get a cash advance, and get an apartment, and get a car. It gave me my stake in California. Now it's Aretha. You can't pay her for something like that.
Oh, she's a wonderful.
But you can do one of her pieces, just to show her the respect that you have for her, for the opportunity that she afforded you.
And "Call Me" was off your very first solo album, The Heart of the Man.
Yeah.
There must have been a lot of inspiration behind that record. Tell us about that.
Well, I was at Capitol at the time. Bruce Lunball was the individual that signed me. And Bobby Colomby, who worked at CBS and was the original drummer for Blood, Sweat, and Tears, brought me to the attention of Bruce. So that recording was really, really pretty amazing because I got the opportunity to work with everybody that I was working with at the time on one recording.
Wow, that was
I got a chance to work with Lee because I'd been singing with Lee Ritenour in live shows for 4 or 5 years before I made the Heart of the Band.
And you've done a lot of work with Lee Ritenour. Are you guys? You guys must be very, very close.
We are pretty close. He's born the day before me, and we've probably been working together off and on now for over 25 years.
Well,
as a matter of fact, in May we're going to Indonesia together to do some exchange work and learn a little bit of Indonesian music and heritage and show them what jazz feels like.
And you go to Indonesia often for the Jakarta Java Jazz Festival. Is that correct?
I have done the Jakarta Jazz Festival and the Java Jazz Festival. That's true. Yeah. And I started going with Lee. The first time I ever went, I went with Lee. And that's been about 18, 19 years now.
And what's the jazz market like over in Indonesia? Is it listened to by the people over there often, or how is it over there?
The people of Indonesia are just like the people of America. It's a style of music that everybody likes. They seem to gravitate to Western artists, not only because of their geographical location, but because of the influence that America has on the cultures of the world every day.
And what artists have influenced you as an artist?
Well, I told you about my mom's crooners, and those are certainly the gentlemen who let me know if you're good enough at what you do, you can transport someone from the environment that they're in to the environment that's suggested by the song or the one that they want to be in.
And how would you describe your own sound?
Well, for me, it's real simple. I'm just an old R&B singer. It's just I've become so slick that people call it jazz.
You do fit into both genres. Your music is just a very
both
wonderful
genres
style.
are the same. It's just one has a 2/4 beat and the other one has a shuffle. Both genres are the same. The harmonic is phrased different from one to the other. Same chords, same melodies. Some of the jazz melodies are much more intricate, but then that's the nature of the genre.
And many people have labeled jazz nowadays as smooth jazz. How do you feel about that moniker?
I think the word smooth jazz is an oxymoron. I think smooth jazz at its root is instrumental R&B.
And
it's just so slick. We call it jazz.
And you've collaborated with so many artists. Is there one you haven't worked with yet that you would love to collaborate with?
There are a multitude of artists out there that I'd like to work with. I've always had respect for people whose music moved me. So, and it covers the gambit. It's not just one kind of artist. I mean, there are certainly a lot of R&B singers today, young ones, new ones, who have great chops and sing very, very interesting melodies. And I'd like to be able to work with some of them. I'd like to be able to work with Christopher Cross. I'd like to be able to work with Burt Bacharach again. I mean, throughout my career, I'd love to work with Quincy again. Throughout my career, I've been blessed to work with the confirmed giants of the industry. And I've been spoiled because I have worked with them. And so if I had my choice of who I could work with, those would be the kind of sessions that I would do most of the time. I'd probably get less airplay then than I do now because everything would have strings on it because that's the kind of music that I like.
And do you plan on doing that, or do you think it will happen?
Well, along a 40-plus year journey, you meet a lot of people. Some of them you gel with in a live environment, but you don't necessarily gel with in a studio environment. Some of them is vice versa. You gel with them in a studio environment, but not in a live environment. rarely do you find the kind of musician that you gel with in both places. And those would be, and believe me, there are numerous people in my life that fall under that last category. And those would be the people that, if money was no object, that I would choose to make music with most of the time. Because when they make music, it's spiritual. It ceases being a entertainment experience. It becomes a personal relationship experience through the music.
And that's what I've felt through your music. Your music, it feels like you, like a person would know you just by listening to you sing on an album.
Well, they just know the part of me that loves the music that he gets to do. They never know me.
And also, aside from music, you made a cameo appearance in the 2009 movie Crossing Over, which starred Harrison Ford, Ray Liotta, and Ashley Judd. That must have been a great experience. Fill us in on that.
It was. Okay, now, and this is a strange kind of thing, because I got a call a week before from a vocal contractor who said that there was someone at the Weinstein Company that was looking for a unique version of the Star Spangled Banner. And she thought about me and called me. So we made the business, and I go to the studio, and it's an a cappella thing. I have no accompaniment. So I just went in and sang the national anthem and turned my W4 in and left. I didn't think any more about it. Well, a couple of days later, someone from the Weinstein Agency got in touch with me about being in the movie. Well, at first I thought they were pulling my leg, so I gave him the booking agent's number and told him to deal with it. And he called me back and said, "You know that thing that you thought that somebody was trying to pull your leg about?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "They're serious." Now, how should I make this deal? So I told him what I thought would be fair. And I told him how I wanted to be listed in the credits.
And what was that?
Phil Perry as himself.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I had no speaking parts. The only thing I did was singing. I wasn't acting. I was just being me. So if people wanted to know what I am, that's what I am.
And are you in the process of making another album?
I'm writing for the next recording opportunity. But in terms of having a place on the calendar marked off for recording, no, I don't have one of those. I don't like recording like that anyway.
And can you fill us in on are there any plans on what your next project might be, a certain style or something like that?
Well, it will be the Phil Perry that you're used to hearing, but coming from different places and encompassing different individuals to come up with a different kind of sound. You know, earlier when we were speaking, I referred to the era of music that when you heard a song, a particular kind of song on the radio in your car, it made you pull over and listen to the song.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When was the last time that happened to you? Long time,
Long
right?
time, yeah, long time.
Okay. So I had to go back over that so that you would understand the statement that's coming, which is, when I record again, I'm trying to record a whole CD of songs like that.
And I think you'd definitely be able to do it. Your music is so wonderful.
You know what I mean? And it takes time, and you can't lock in and say, whatever I have by this date, I'm going to start recording. You can't do that. Creativity doesn't work like that. It takes some composers months and months and months just to write a 30-second cue for a movie.
And where can we buy your music from?
Well, you can come and visit me at philperry.org, or you can go to philperry.tv and find out where I'm linked up. You can also go to iTunes. You can go to Pandora. if you're out and about in your car and you're charging your phone, if you see a Barnes & Noble, you could stop there. If you saw a Borders, if you could find one, you could stop there. There are multiple digital outlets that you can buy my whole catalog.
And do you have any...
You can go to YouTube and punch in Phil Perry, and after you've seen what it is that you punched on to see, they can give you accessibility to other pieces of music that I've recorded over the years for purchase as well.
And do you have any upcoming performances our listeners should look out for?
Well, I'm going to be in Panama City, Florida on Sunday. I'm going to do the Seabreeze Festival.
It's a great festival down there.
Yeah, and I'll be honored to share the stage with Brian Simpson and Kim Waters and Mesa.
Oh, wow, those are great artists.
It'll be very, very interesting. And the music will just be so enjoyable, not only from a performance perspective, because I genuinely do like making music with all of them, but just to listen to them, to not be on stage and be sitting on the side of the stage and hear what they do and know where they're coming from and what makes them do that. And people have the misconception that the artists that work on jazz festivals are really only there to do their show and make a little money and go on. But there's a lot of inspiration that you get from the same people that do what you do for a living that you can't acquire elsewhere.
Thanks so much. Phil, is there anything else you'd like our audience to know before you go?
Yeah, just let them know that I'm a regular guy, and I love what I get to do, and I've been blessed to do it a long time. And if they haven't heard a piece of music that makes them pull over and want to listen to it, then they should check me out. I think I got a few in there for them.
Oh, well, your music really is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Phil. I've been such a fan of yours for so many years.
Thank you, Chorus. I appreciate that, man.
Oh, thank you so
and
much.
And really said that you were really nice, too. My wife spoke highly of you.
Oh, thank you. She was very kind to you. Give her my best. I mean?
Which is probably why we're doing this the day before I leave to go to Florida. Because tomorrow afternoon I'm on a bird to the Panhandle.
and we all wish you a wonderful and safe trip over there, Phil. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate it. My best to all your listeners, and thank them, one and all, as you can get in touch with them a lot better than I, for giving me a song to sing for 44 years. Because without them, I couldn't do it.
And thank you so much, Phil. I play your music on here all the time. It's such wonderful music.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful weekend.
Tell about 900,000 other people I'll be in good shape.
I'm going to be your cheerleader over here on the radio, so.
Thank you, pal. I appreciate it. I need all the cheerleaders and prayer I can get.
Well, I'll definitely be doing that for you.
Thank you, pal.
Thank you.
Good to talk with you.
It's such an honor to get to talk with you, and have a wonderful weekend.
And you the same, my man. Upstream.
That was my interview right there with the one and only Phil Perry right here on the Vibe Smooth R&B. Make sure to stay tuned after the break. We'll be playing the greatest music on your radio all morning long on KKSM, the Radio Revolution.